Here.
Alderman Burris.
Here.
Alderman Fisk.
Here.
Alderman John Batiste is in Haiti. Alderman Nguyen.
Here.
Alderman Wilson.
Here.
Alderman Holmes.
Here.
Alderman Tindem.
Here.
8-0.
We have a quorum. Welcome to the Monday, February 8th, 2010 meeting of the Evanston City Council. And thank you all for arriving at our new and early opening time. The only public announcement that I have is that I do want to apologize to the community and to the staff because so much of our discussion of this $9.5 million budget deficit has centered around the libraries, that people are beginning to think that that's all that the council cares about, which is definitely not true. We have agonized over these cuts and are very concerned about all of them, but the time management at council meetings has not been as good as I would have wished, and we have spent most of the time discussing the libraries, which has given both some people the idea that the libraries are the sole solution to the budget, which is not true. They are a small amount, and it has given other people the idea that the libraries are our sole concern, which is also not true. So I hope that tonight, but I can only hope, we will not spend a preponderance of the time discussing the libraries. City Manager, do you have public announcements?
Yes, I do, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Good evening. First, I'd like to share with you that I did receive a phone call from Alderman Lionel John Baptiste this afternoon from Haiti. He wanted to let you all know that he has arrived in Haiti safely, that because the telecommunications abilities aren't as good as he had hoped, that he will not be participating by telephone at the council meeting, but did want me to send his regards and let you know that he did arrive safely. He plans to be in Haiti through Friday, and then hopefully back after visiting his mother in Florida, be back in Evanston on Saturday. With that, Madam Mayor, members of the council, three updates. First, Craig Sklar from our planning division is here. Craig has been our lead staff member dealing with the 2010 census, which is right around the corner. And Craig's here tonight to give the council and the community an update on our efforts to get everyone in the city of Evanston counted. Craig, good evening.
Good evening. We have a lot going on in the next few months to count everybody in the city of Evanston. And I just wanted to spend a quick time tonight going over some of the materials that I outlined in a letter sent to the council a few days ago. First off is the creation of the Complete Count Committee. A while back, we have organized with community leaders and stakeholders to gather to talk about issues of what the census is doing, getting the message out, talking to their constituents, and letting them know when all this is happening. We've met on a regular basis, monthly, for about 3 months now. And we've made a lot of headway in communication. We usually have a U.S. Census rep there at the meetings, and she's able to provide us updates with new information on when the forms are coming out, what the forms are looking like, and then we also discuss any of the upcoming issues in the next few months. Secondly, one of the big tenets of the Complete Count Committee is media relations. This is anything from newsletters, brochures, posters that the U.S. Census Bureau has been providing, and also here in the city as well, sending out the message of how to find a job with the U.S. Census, where to get when your forms are coming out, and where else to find information. I would like to tell you tonight online at cityofelvanston.org/2010 census, we do have a city's website with some frequently asked questions. We're going to be posting maps of where questionnaire assistance centers are, be counted boxes, and there's also links to the U.S. Census website as well. Questionnaire assistance centers are new for 2010. These are locations within the city that the U.S. Census staff will be located throughout the city at posted hours. If citizens have questions about their form that they get, if they don't know how to fill it out correctly, if they speak a language that they don't have on their form, they can go to these centers at their posted times A certified U.S. Census rep will be there to answer any questions. If they can't answer it, they'll find somebody to help them out. We have signed up the Civic Center, Fleetwood Jourdain, Robert Crown, the Howard Street Outpost, Northwestern University at the Norris Center, and St. Nicholas Church as questionnaire assistance centers. Those have been submitted to the U.S. Census Bureau. We're going to be hearing back from them shortly as to what they can staff, what hours, and we'll go from there. More information on that will be posted on the website at that time.
Excuse me, Alderman Grover has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Sklenar. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think it would be helpful for us all to understand really well to why it's so important that as many people in Evanston be counted in the census this year.
First and foremost, I think it relates to about $980 per person per year. That's how much money we've calculated from the 2000 census. Each citizen counts towards federal funding, state allocations, and grant programs that the city receives directly or indirectly from the federal government.
And the schools.
And the schools, yes, ma'am. $450 billion are doled out from federal funds every year, and that's dependent on how many people are counted in the city. So every person does count, regardless of their citizenship, regardless of if they've been here a month, a week, a day. If you live here April 1st, we want you to fill out your questionnaire. That answered? Okay. There's two last items I'd like to talk about tonight. One is the Northwestern University effort. They count for about 10 to 15% of our population. So obviously counting Northwestern students is a big concern for us. I've been coordinating with Lucille Krasno with Northwestern University. We're developing a strategy to get the message out to every dorm, every fraternity house, every sorority house, and off-campus housing. They have been very, very helpful in that. The Norris Center has donated space that they don't have, to allow these questionnaire assistance centers, these be counted sites, to be on their property for a month period of time. And then lastly, our hot tracks. This is something new for 2010. We didn't have any in 2000 because a hot track is the census tract where that's how they divide out the city, is based off of geographic areas and population. If the tracts responded less than 50%, they were considered a hot track. So the U.S. Census Bureau was following how many people would actually return their questionnaires from that area. This year, they've raised that threshold to 57%. So now we have two census tract areas, 8092 and 8096 in the West Evanston areas, that are considered hot tract areas because the first respondents were below 57%. That doesn't mean that 57% or less were counted. It's just the return rate of the first-time questionnaires were below that threshold. So the U.S. Census is stepping up their efforts to get the word out in those areas. Any questions?
I think the $900 figure explained it very well.
All right, thank you. Oh, one last thing. I do have, they still are hiring people. It's about $18.25 an hour. They are doing tests. If you go to 2010censusjobs.gov, I have a few cards. I'll put them out on the desk out front.
Thank you.
Next, Madam Mayor, members of the council, as you all know, we've been very fortunate to receive a $18 million grant from the federal government for our neighborhood stabilization program grant. Several federal officials, including U.S. Senator Dick Durbin, were here with us last week. I'd like to ask Dennis Marino, our Assistant Director of Community Development, who's been coordinating efforts on this, to give you an update on what we know thus far and what we believe will be the next steps in implementing the grant. Dennis, good evening.
Thank you very much. Good evening. The proposal that we submitted to HUD included two major components. One component was the acquisition, rehab, and reoccupancy of 100 foreclosed units in the two target census tracts. And then the second major objective was the redevelopment of two blighted parcels of vacant land in West Evanston into 98 units of new housing consistent with the West Evanston Master Plan. When we met with HUD in Washington, HUD indicated that all 56 cities who've received funding under NSP 2 have to first deliver 100 units of basically rehabbed housing that was previously foreclosed. So that's our primary objective to deliver to HUD. However, we can use any additional funds that are not necessary for that purpose out of the grant to help finance the proposed redevelopment. And HUD did express enthusiasm for that, but obviously there would be significant gap financing that would be needed there as well. So that, in a sense, is kind of the major focus of the program, which is to address the existing foreclosed homes, but that also includes condos and apartments as well. In Census Tract 8092, which is in West Evanston, our lowest income census tract, and then also Census Tract 8102, which is north of Howard Street and east of Asbury in South Evanston. So that is our focal point at this time, those two census tracts. What we anticipate from HUD is getting the grant agreement letter by the end of February. And then at that time, we also will have to submit a revised work plan to HUD, which obviously would fall along the lines that we just suggested, but staff would submit that revised work plan to the Planning and Development Committee. The training that Sarah Flax and I attended in Washington was a very extensive all-day training. There are obviously a lot of very special regulations dealing with appraisal and environmental regulations and certain procedures that HUD requires that is in everybody's best interest. So it's a pretty rigorous process without a doubt. And so that's basically the gist of my comments tonight. We're certainly available for any questions that come up, but that's the update of the information we have at this point.
Alderman Rainey.
Thank you so much, Dennis, and for all your work on this. One of the things that was discussed when Senator Durbin was in town was the fact that some of these banks are holding onto these properties and absolutely refusing reasonable offers to sell them. And I'm wondering, is there going to be any intervention on behalf of on the part of the feds to loosen up those controls so that when we start approaching these banks to make these purchases that we're going to be able to get somewhere?
I think certainly what Senator Durbin stated is correct on the part of some banks. Some other banks have been more forthcoming and more reasonable. I think that's being looked at as a federal legislative and regulatory issue in terms of trying to get more of the banks to be more cooperative. But it's something we're looking at carefully. Senator Durbin did ask staff for a list of the banks that have the foreclosed property in the two census tracts.
Alderman Rainey, didn't Senator Durbin also say something about putting up signs on? I'm amazed that you left that part out.
Well, I was going to mention the address of all the president's homes and where we're going to be making the signs, but I thought I'd leave that to you.
Well, he did say that we should put up signs saying this foreclosed property brought to you by courtesy of whatever the bank might be. And that some communities have done that, and it has pressured the banks to be more responsive. And I was very interested in that idea.
The only problem with that is that it brings attention to the building that it's in front of, and you don't want to do that, really.
It does, except in some instances they're so obvious that there's attention brought to them anyway. It'd be nice to let the community know we were trying to do something. Thank you, Dennis.
Welcome.
And finally, Madam Mayor, members of the council, as I'm sure you're all aware, the Winter Olympics are going to be starting up in Vancouver, British Columbia, beginning on Friday. And as I think also many of you are aware, there is a native son of Evanston who is going to be competing. And I've asked Doug Gaynor to kind of give an update on our participant, and hopefully we'll be able to follow the action over the next couple of weeks.
Thank you, City Manager. With the Vancouver Olympic Games opening on February 12th, we wanted to point out that one of our very own is favored, Shawnee Davis, to be the first American speed skater in 16 years to be well-positioned to win 2 gold medals. Shawnee's the pride of the Robert Crown Center Ice Program and the Evanston Speed Skating Club. He started his career when he was 6 years old skating at Crown. He's quoted in the press just recently saying that after the Olympics he plans on donating 10 high-tech boots, which he's worn previously. He's the reigning Olympic gold medalist in the 1,500 meter and the silver medalist in the 1,000 meter from the 2006 Olympics in Torino. And if you're interested in watching Shawnee, he will be competing the 1,500 meter event on Saturday the 13th and on Wednesday the 17th in the 1,000 meter. And the Evanston Speed Skating Club is going to be at 5 o'clock on February 17th down at the ESPN zone in Chicago to cheer him on. So there's an outstanding article and photograph of him in Sports Illustrated, and it talks about how he's doing this himself. He doesn't have any coaches. He does this all himself, and that's the way he's been doing it since he started this career as really a competitor at that level. It's really very interesting. So if you get an opportunity, you might want to see that. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have anything else? Next is citizen comment. Each one of you has 3 minutes, and I'm going to call up the first 4 names. If previous speaker says something that you agree with, you don't have to reiterate it. You could just say that you agreed with the previous speaker. Tina Seastrom, Patty O'Neill Sinkar, Gennaro Jackson, Sean Pesca, I apologize to Sean, but 1520 Washington Street. Oh, I'm sorry. If you'd state your name and address. Thank you.
My name is Tina Seastrom, 810 Seward. I'm sort of in limbo land, like a lot of people in Evanston. I'm a volunteer over at North Branch, and my hours were cut from 6 to 8. I don't have any hours. I'm a free person. A little strange. But number one, warm and homey, welcoming places. That's what our branches are. Our patrons are our friends and come back often. These places are warming and cooling places during extreme weather. They are safe places for children and aging. Where else can you get such cheap entertainment anyway? But I really think there must be a reason why this has been on the chopping block for so many years. So I really think people here love their libraries and even need their libraries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My name is Patty O'Neill Sinkar, and I live at 2211 Sherman. I also own Perennials on Central Street. And I know I'll keep every bit about the library short and brief. What I guess I mainly want to say is, and you've already know this, how important that library is to our community, of our shops, of all of us who work so hard to keep our businesses running. And keeping a small business running in this day and age is not an easy task, as you know. One thing that I think I am most struck about is there is a movement, there is an incredible group of people who are willing and who are able to take this on. I'm so impressed with their organizational skills, et cetera. What I'm hoping is that we can still give them enough time, give us enough time to really get this organized, to take this on. It would be such a shame to lose it. And I think if we have enough time, this group of people are miracle workers. And I've been so impressed. And anybody could come in my store any day, and there's discussions like going on constantly, and we're kind of all on the same page about this. So I really hope, for the sake of our little Central Street and the other library, I know it's got to be the same thing. It's really important for our communities.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council members. What I would like to talk about to you this evening is guarantees, and to say there are none. I've heard the fire department guarantee a timed response to a situation. How is that if the truck breaks down? Trust me, it's happened. Or if a police car is going to a call and the lights and sirens go out. That too has happened. I know because I work on them. Yet we're losing positions in fleet services. I understand these are above the line cuts, but I truly believe that the maintaining of every vehicle in the city was not taken into consideration. We have 11 mechanics who can't keep up now. How do we do it with 9? Since I've been speaking to you, I've had questions that weren't answered, solutions that weren't entertained. All I'm asking tonight is that these things be discussed and at least give back the service position that has been justified per the document I gave you in the last meeting. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Sean Pesca. I live at 1520 Washington. Also worked for the City of Evanston Water Department for about 10 years. And I don't want to reiterate what Gennaro just said, but I will go to the course of the forestry cuts. And this council discussed the need for proper response time for the fire department. And how good can your response time be if you're cutting an department that's already working at low staff levels, and you're extending times it's going to take to get trees trimmed? What happens when the tree goes down? It's going to extend your fire department response time. So when they're talking about saving redundant, the libraries are great in this town, but we do have 3 of them. When you're talking about saving that and cutting bodies from an already low staffed departments, I think that needs to be gone over. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Suzanne Kaforos, lives on Prairie, Lori Keenan, Michael Tannen, and Manuel Silver.
I'm Suzanne Kaforis, 2605 Prairie Avenue, apartment 17. I can go to the library to find out how some ancient civilization took care of its needs. Thank you. To find out what it thought was important and what it believed in. I can see samples of its architecture, all of it made without the technology that we have today, and yet much of it is very beautiful. The library is a place of hope, of inspiration, and of imaginative thinking. These are benefits which can't be measured in dollars and cents. I consider myself to be among the most fortunate persons in the world to have all of this in my own neighborhood. I would like to know what could be done to bring these wonderful kinds of experiences to all of the persons in all of the neighborhoods in our city, beginning March 1st, 2010. Our professional staff, library staff, could be shared with all the areas of the city with more than an equal share of their time given to the new areas, so that, and it could stay that way until the interest in those areas becomes as vibrant as it is in the areas where the library presently exists. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Laura Keenan. I'm at 2214 Colfax Street. I appreciate and respect the fact that we've spent a lot of time on the libraries, and I will be as brief as possible tonight. There are 2 important points I wanted to make. First of all, I thought Gennaro Jackson's response a couple weeks ago about how to save $59,000 was really inspired, and that's something I'd like for us to take a look at, because I love ideas from the community. Secondly, I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood that the librarians who were supposed to have been cut, there are 8 library staff members. It was originally 17 out of 36 were cut from the library, 17 out of 36 total city employees. The 8 who chose to stay because of the straw poll vote on the day that they had to make this decision whether or not they were going to get the package to leave. So I just want to be sure, as we move forward, that they put their faith in this council, and I just want you to know that you can put your faith in us to continue this in trying to fund the libraries. Also, I wanted you to know the task force is meeting on Thursday evening. The library task force is meeting Thursday evening, and to date we've raised $24,000 since last Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Manuel Silva, living on Jackson Avenue, around the corner to Central and also very near to the North Branch Library. I want to stress only one thing. This is a valuable community. I'm proud to be part of it, and I think that we are trying to save dollars by putting the burden of part of our expenses on a volunteer group. I would like to stress that this should be a responsibility of the city, not of individuals coming together. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Tannen. I don't need to say anything. Okay, thank you very much. Next, Boris Furman, Kristen Harris, and Betty Sue Esther.
Hi, Boris Furman, 1403 Maple Avenue in Evanston. I'd like to just read a short excerpt from the book Matilda by Roald Dahl. It's the first chapter of the book. It's called The Bookworm. Nearly every weekday afternoon, Matilda was left alone in the house. Her father went to work, her mother went out. One afternoon, Matilda set out all by herself to walk to the public library in the village. When she arrived, she introduced herself to the librarian. "Where are the children's books, please?" Matilda asked. From then on, every afternoon, as soon as her mother had left, Matilda would toddle down to the library. The walk took only 10 minutes, and this allowed her 2 glorious hours sitting quietly by herself in a cozy corner, devouring one book after another. You have to live close to the library to do that. A little kid can't be walking downtown. It's a lot better if there's a library in your neighborhood. Everybody's got problems. The city has money problems. I understand that. I have an idea. Go look in the TIFs. The TIFs have extra money in them. Go use that until you figure out a way to get a permanent fix. No reason you can't use that TIF money. Thanks.
Thank you.
Kristen Harris, 3016 Central. Before I begin, just a question for Mr. Green, the city clerk. Mr. Green, if you're going to take the email I sent previously today, and if you're going to circulate it among the city council members, I can make an abbreviated statement.
The city council already has the email that I copied and made for.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll be very, very brief then, so I won't be entirely redundant. As much support as can be found on the Branch Love online petition, et cetera, there are members of our community that are very much in support of keeping the branch libraries open as a normal, basic, foundational component of the City of Evanston's annual budget. And those demographics aren't necessarily reflected in the online petition. They do include senior citizens who are not necessarily as computer savvy, with blogs and all that sort of thing. I've listed a couple of examples in the email. Also, those who are concerned, we were talking earlier about foreclosures, people who are concerned about trying to resell their homes, the property values, and what would happen if the branch libraries, due to their absence, would create kind of a vacuum within the business districts. So thank you very much for your consideration of the correspondence from earlier this afternoon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Alderman Burris?
Not to this last speaker, the speaker before, could we have someone from the city explain to people watching and people in the audience the how money from TIF can actually be used? That's thrown out all the time, and we need to clarify TIF money just can't be used however you would like it to be used. There's a specific use for it, and when people bring up items that aren't accurate, we really need to get accurate information out to the public. Thank you.
Marty, did you want to respond?
Certainly, Madam Mayor, Alderman Burris. The utilization of TIF is generally for business uses within the tax increment finance district. You may also use TIF funds for infrastructure. Most recently, we did that by replacing all of the streetscape material and sidewalk right adjacent to the main library, and that was within a TIF district. So to the extent that there is no TIF district for either south or north, then there is an issue there, and they're not adjacent. We can also stretch a little if they're right next to a TIF district. But we cannot just take dollars from a TIF district and use them to buy books. That's not an allowable use.
Boris, shoot us an email. I'm sorry.
Well, you know very well.
No.
Mayor Tisdall.
Later.
How those things can be used.
Just send us an email. Betty Sue Esther.
My name is Betty Sue Esther. Well, Betty Esther, don't use the Sue that much. 2031 Church Street. I'm here to speak to the budget. I know tonight we've had speakers talk about the library, and then at the February the 3rd meeting, I watched it at home, wasn't feeling that good, and when y'all finished, I was totally confused. Because when we got to the library, first you said it was out, and then there was a motion it was in, then there was talk from the lawyer, and then that confused me even more as to whether or not there could be a vote on it and everything. And like, if you could tonight or sometime another before you make the final vote, put up a list, things that you are going to be cutting, things that are going to be staying in the budget, so it is simple and plain to everyday people like me, because some of it I got lost in the conversation. But it also, too, in looking at the things that need to be cut and everything, libraries we would love to have, but then that has to take, you look at other things you need, that is people, that service people, that people need. Like the dental department, the mental health for their service programs that they support. These are life and safety issues that deals with people. The library would love to stay. I would love to see both of them stay. If we didn't have any libraries in town and those two branches would be lost, I would be fighting to keep them. But we have a beautiful downtown library. So either we as a community has to face the issue. If we're going to keep a library, because what I heard on the 3rd was that it might be gone in 6 months. Is it totally out, or is the city picking it up after 6 months? Then you need to, we as a community need to say, well, we're going to have to raise taxes. You cannot keep hacks onto something without raising revenue for it. I know we said we wasn't going to raise the property tax, but how else do the city get its money? We can't count on fees and penalty, because people could say, I don't want to build anything here. So you lose the $1 billion of fees, permits from that department. People say, well, I'm not going to drive no car, I'm going to sell my car. Then you lose that revenues from the stickers and stuff.
Patty,
But
I need you to wrap it up, please.
Thank you.
Thank
But taxes, property tax, everybody in town pay property tax. Whether you rent or own, you pay property tax. Because every time the city put a fee for water or anything, the landlord tells you the next day, I got to raise your rent. So we are, as tenants, are paying for these issues. So we need to be thinking about raising taxes so we can keep our libraries. And also at the same time, create one on the west side so the children there will have a library that they can walk to.
Patty,
And
we need to.
thank you. So the last thing I wanted to say, please think about that, because that's the only way you can do it. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes public comments. Alderman Rainey, could we have the consent agenda, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor. First item on the consent agenda is approval of the minutes of the budget workshop of January 23, approval of the minutes of the regular city council meeting of January 25. Next, from Administration and Public Works, we recommend your approval of payroll through January 31st in the amount of $2,291,319.38. We ask you to approve the City of Evanston bills through February 9 in the amount of $1,999,757.14. The first purchase is a new boiler for the Robert Crown Center from International Piping Systems in the amount of $25,102. Next item is A3.2. We request your approval for the purchase of 2010 annual water treatment chemicals. This is, the items are all listed here, ranging from phosphorus to chlorine, et cetera. This is based on the recommendation from the Water Department. Next is a contract extension is being requested for condominium garbage collection. We're asking that you support our requests for Flood Brothers disposal and recycling service at the rate of $8.08 per condominium unit for a period through June 30th. This will go into effect on July 1st. Next is a single source purchase, which requires it to remain on the consent agenda, which is for 65-gallon wheeled refuse carts from Rig Pacific in the amount of $199,500. Next is Resolution 11R10, which appoints Alderman Nguyen as director and City Manager Bob Quitz as the alternate director to the Solid Waste Agency of Northern Cook County for a 2-year period expiring April 30th, 2012. Next is Resolution 13R10, which I'm removing from the consent agenda. This is the budget for the year 2010-2011. Next is Ordinance 11-010, which amends the section of the City Code relating to refuse and yard waste collection services. Madam Mayor, I'm removing this from the consent agenda as well. Next, we have Ordinance 4010, which is for action and amends the City Code to establish a 4-way stop at Forest Avenue and Greenleaf Street. Next is Ordinance 7010, which decreases the number of Class B liquor licenses for Flat Top Grill. This is for action. Next is taken off the consent agenda, and that is Ordinance 8010, which increases the number of Class B liquor licenses. This is taken off at the request of the Liquor Commissioner, Mayor Tisdall. Next is Planning and Development. I think this should be off the consent agenda, Chairman Nguyen, seeing that we made a change here in the shore. Okay, so P1 is off the consent agenda. P2 is Ordinance 10-010, grants a major variation to facilitate the conveyance of land to Caravelli Montessori School at 425 Dempster. Should we leave this on the consent agenda? It's just going to be returned to the committee. Item P3 is Ordinance 9-010, which amends Section 618.3 of the zoning ordinance definition having to do with Type 1 and Type 2 restaurants. This is at the request of Planning and Development, and it is for introduction tonight.
Alderman Rainey, can we take that off? Because there's been a request to suspend the rules.
All right. Well, we can leave it on for introduction and then suspend.
Why don't we leave it on and introduce it then?
Yeah.
Just reduces repeating.
Slightly less complex.
Next item is Human Services Committee. The Township of Evanston bills from January 2010 in the amount of $85,324.47. Next item is the Evanston Mental Health Board proposed fiscal year 10 agency funding levels. I think we probably should remove this. Do people want this off the consent agenda? Yes. Okay, it's off the consent agenda and will be addressed by the Chair of Human Services. Next item is, pardon me? Okay, the ordinance having to do with mobile telephones while operating a motor vehicle will be off the consent agenda and will be addressed by the Chair of Human Services. Next, under other committees, Resolution 14R10, amending Rule 9.6 and 16.5 of the Rules and Organization of the City Council. This is for action and has to do with the method of scheduling standing committee meetings and council meetings on Monday evenings, on regular council evenings. Next is 02, which is Downtown Evanston budget approval. It is approval of the Downtown Evanston budget for the following year in the amount, I don't see the amount on here. I think it's $82,000, isn't it? It's not on here. I'm sorry. Pardon me? I'm really sorry, Madam Mayor, but
We're looking it up, Alderman Rainey.
Okay, all right.
Not your fault.
For some reason,
Just
it's not
give us a
on
little
here.
time.
All right, let's just move right along here. The 102 amount is for the landscaping. Next item is, I apologize, is 03, which is Downtown Evanston Landscape Funding Agreement. This is an agreement with the city to subsidize and support landscaping and other and planting contractual services in the amount of $102,778. We actually subsidize that service from the Downtown Evanston. It is split with the Washington National TIF in the amount of $37,778 and the Economic Development Fund of $65,000. Going back to item 02, Downtown Evanston budget approval. I request the council's approval of the budget. I believe we're at
Number is
82,000?
82,000.
Pardon me?
I believe Alderman Holmes was completely correct.
82,000.
I don't know why we bothered to look it up after she spoke.
Oh, I said 82, she said 100.
82. Oh.
Okay. All right, it's for 82,000, everybody. All right. Having said all that, Madam Mayor, I move approval of the consent agenda.
It's been moved and seconded. City Clerk, could you call the roll?
Alderman Grover.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Burris.
Aye.
Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Alderman Tindem. 8.
8-0. The consent agenda passes. Alderman Rainey, could we have the Administration and Public Works report? Thank you.
At the request of we are, I believe we're holding the liquor license issue for Flat Top Grill. Is that
That would be fine.
All right, we're holding that in committee. So it's here on this agenda, so we're returning it to committee and holding it for further action. And I'm going to move approval of the 2010-2011 Evanston City budget.
Is there a second?
For the purpose of
I know. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, could I say one thing about that?
Yes.
I'd like to get this resolved immediately so the whole world knows, and that is Alderman Jean-Baptiste, who is not on a vacation, but he is in Haiti, where he belongs at this moment, and he has asked that we not pass this budget until he returns. And so I think one of the things the council should do is make a determination if they're in agreement with that. And second of all, if we want to have a special meeting, or do we just want to deal with it when he is here on February 22nd, if people are willing to delay?
Alderman Nguyen.
Well, I am completely in agreement with Alderman Jean-Baptiste. Obviously, he would be here if he could be, and I think we should extend him that courtesy that he's asked us for. But I would like to suggest that we schedule a special meeting sometime next week in order to make sure that there is, or sometime before the next meeting, to make sure that there is an additional meeting before the February 28th, the date that the budget is required by law to be passed.
Alderman Rainey.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I think that will make it a very smooth effort on our part. And I was wondering, is there any reason why we can't meet on Monday? Is it a special day or something?
Well, it's the
It
president.
is a national holiday.
It is a
which the
national
city-
holiday.
Which the city of Evanston does not recognize.
We don't recognize.
No, we are open.
We are, that's what I thought, we are open. Is there a reason why the
Does
school's
anyone?
closed?
I will be out of town on
Well, then,
Monday.
how about Tuesday?
My brother's wedding.
Your mother?
My brother's. She's finally tying the knot.
How about Tuesday?
Alderman Holmes? Your lights.
No, I was just going to suggest a date, but if Alderman Grove is going to be out of town on
No, we can't do it then. Everybody has to.
Does Tuesday work for everyone?
If I'm not mistaken, I have a community development meeting on Tuesday night, I believe. Is that correct?
I won't be home back in Evanston until Wednesday.
Okay, how about
from the wedding? I'm sorry.
I have a community meeting,
I won't
but
be
I'll be
here.
right here in the building, so I could do both. I could do both.
That's my sit-in for me.
I mean, I'll be in and out because I have a community meeting.
Does Wednesday work for then Alderman Holmes, you'll be in and out?
Well, I'm right here in the building, so
Yeah.
I could do both.
Okay. Does that work for everyone?
Madam Mayor, I will be out of town, but
No.
Mr. Lyons will be here.
That doesn't work.
Well, you went out of town.
Can we look at Thursday then?
All right, let's look at Thursday. Will you be here Thursday?
I can be here on Thursday.
I have a ward meeting on Thursday. I can't do
Okay. Go, I'm supposed to go to your ward meeting, Alderman Holmes.
Saturday, the 20th?
I won't be back then.
Yeah, no, well, he'll be back on the 20th.
The following.
The 20th.
Oh, the 20th. Oh, okay.
Saturday, the 20th?
Well, I will have to miss the Northwest Municipal Conference Legislative Brunch, but I will actually, and the city manager, but we'll do it for him. It's Saturday, the 20th.
Thank you for the sacrifice, Madam Mayor.
You owe me for a long time for that one. Okay, the 20th it is?
And we convene at what time, please?
9.
I would second that.
9 o'clock. Been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay. Alderman Grover, I'm sorry, your light is on.
That's all that we got.
Okay.
My report is over.
No. You good. A6,
All right.
My report's not over.
No, it's not over, but,
I
so do you want to delay all discussion of the budget until Alderman Jean-Baptiste is with us?
No, well, what I can do is, I removed this because I thought we were going to really get into this, but I would like to move introduction so we can discuss it on that Saturday and then pass it on the 22nd, whatever's left of it.
Okay. And then
So
everyone's agreed that we'll discuss it in depth on the 20th and
all
with
right,
all
let
of
me
us, or
move
is there anything
introduction.
that anyone feels?
Let me move introduction and have everybody support it so that we can move
I think it was introduced.
No, I took it off the consent
Oh, okay.
agenda because I wanted to discuss it. So I'm going to move introduction of ordinance 11010, which amends section of the city code relating to refuse and yard waste collection and has to do with the new size of cans, the fees for those cans, the yard waste stickers, and the purchase of wheel carts and the charging for yard waste fee for the collection of the wheel carts for yard waste.
Second.
It's just for introduction. So we have to-
Seeing no lights on.
It's just for introduction.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. It's introduced.
Should we vote on it?
If no one wants to discuss it, as far as I can tell. All right. City Clerk, would you call the roll? A9. No, wait. A6.
Alderman Grover.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Burris.
Aye.
Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Alderman Tindem.
Aye.
8-0, the ordinance passes. Or no, it's introduced. All right, that concludes your report, Alderman Rainey?
Yes, now I'm concluded.
Thank you. Alderman Nguyen, Planning and Development.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With respect to item P1, this is a request from Shore Services for an amount their request was originally an amount up to $37,000 in home funds to rehab their community integrated living arrangement property on Brown. The committee has modified the amount that it recommends approval for to $27,000. And with that modification, I move approval of the request for $27,000 from Shore Services.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Seeing no lights on for discussion, City Clerk, could we have a roll call?
Alderman Grover. Aye. Alderman Rainey. Aye. Alderman Burris. Aye. Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Alderman Tindem.
Aye.
8.
8-0, the ordinance passes. Alderman Nguyen.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to just address briefly item P2. This is the ordinance 10010 to grant major variations to 425 Dempster Street. That's the Caravalli Montessori School. We have introduced it tonight, but we are referring it back to committee. We had not received the transcripts of the Zoning Board of Appeals hearing for that matter, and we would like to obviously review those before we act on it. So it has been introduced and referred back to the committee. With respect to item P3, this is ordinance 9010, amending section 618.3 of the zoning ordinance, a definition of restaurants type 1 and restaurant type 2. We introduced it. I move to suspend the rules.
Alderman Rainey.
I'm just wondering what the reason for suspending the rules is. What is the reason for suspending the rules? Sorry.
It was at the request of Alderman Fisk.
Well, I'm not sure what the rule is on this, but I'm really curious to know why. Why would we do that?
Alderman Fisk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, that was at my request, and I think a majority of us saw the change of definition as an error, or at least something that we had not recognized at the time that this was adopted in September, and it does affect restaurants opening or applying for a license, especially in the downtown and certainly all other areas of Evanston. I believe it was referred at P&D that the zoning department would take a look at what new wording might be for this, but it's basically an attempt to go back and make this correction as quickly as possible with the least amount of inconvenience to potential applicants.
All right, it's been moved, and Alderman Rainey.
Is a motion to suspend the rules debatable?
No, I don't think so.
Then I'll be voting no.
All right, City Clerk, could we have a roll call vote? I believe you need a unanimous vote to suspend the rules to adopt an ordinance at the same meeting at which it's introduced.
Yes, you do. Alderman Grover. Aye. Alderman Rainey.
No, because no.
Alderman Burris.
No.
Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Alderman Tindem.
Aye.
That's 6-2.
The motion fails, 6-2.
That concludes my report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And Human Services, Alderman Holmes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Evanston Mental Health Board proposed FY10 agency funding levels would move approval. That figure that we have would be changed, I believe, to read 741,500. Is that correct? Look at the staff, I think, because we
so.
restored 100,000, right?
Yes, Madam Mayor, Alderman Holmes, it would be correct. A question that I would have is that the allocation that we have is for a different number. So my understanding is past practice is the council has sent back the document to conform with the dollar amount. So it may be that if the council wishes to re-refer this back to the committee with the new dollar amount and have them come back with the allocation, or you could approve it with the lower dollar amount at this point. My concern is, how do you make the adjustment for the $100,000 that's been reduced?
If I remember correctly, the committee referred it on without any level because they knew it had to come to the budget, so I don't think we need to refer it back to the committee. Committee members are sitting here. That was my understanding. Is that correct? And that we would approve whatever the council came up with. I don't know if that's in the rules or not, but that's what we did at the committee level.
Well, it makes sense, which doesn't mean it works.
Right.
So which group doesn't get $100,000?
Which group?
So it's just assumed then. It's just assumed then that there's a proportional decrease.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Alderman Nguyen withdrew her earmark last week, and so therefore the $100,000 would just be given to the Mental Health Board for them to decide how to distribute that. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Alderman Rainey.
Well, I just wanted to confirm that because the letter we got from Mental Health indicated that they didn't understand that and they thought that you were pigeonholing them to use the money in the way. I thought you withdrew it also. So we need to send a message to Mental Health.
They're here.
They're here. That's why
Here's a message. You can spend it, allocate it how you want.
Thank you. All right. So are we ready to vote on this? Mr. Lyons.
The clerk is disagreeing with us.
I disagree. She said that she said that she wanted to
earmark it for youth, but then it was withdrawn at the very end. It was really withdrawn.
Yes. Alderman Nguyen says she withdrew it.
I'll go back to the tape, but I don't think you did.
Well, if not, then can we do it now, Alderman Nguyen? So then we'll make it correctly.
Yes, Madam Mayor, we were told that earmarking it was not possible legally, and that Alderman Holmes and I agreed that we would not earmark it, but simply urged that money be directed as much as possible towards youth programs, and that was the agreement.
Thank you.
And I would second that.
Okay. Then, City Clerk, could we?
Can I hear the motion again? Then?
You got the motion by Alderman Nguyen, second by me, and now you need a roll call.
I need to know what the motion was again.
The motion is to approve the Mental Health Board proposed funding at what level?
At 11, at
741.5. Okay.
Yeah. Alderman Grover. Aye. Alderman Rainey. Aye. Alderman Burris. Aye. Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Alderman Tindem.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Okay. On ordinance 3-0-10 regarding the use of mobile telephones while operating a motor vehicle, I would move approval.
Is there any discussion? Didn't that go through on consent?
Alderman Grove has a light on.
We believe it went through on consent, Alderman Holmes.
Mm-hmm.
It did go through on consent. All right.
It was asked to be removed because I think Alderman
not.
Grover wanted to speak to it. So.
Alderman Grover, do you want to speak? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Alderman Holmes. I just want to make sure that we thank Lena Hoffman from the Active Transportation Alliance and James Heller and members of the Evanston Bicycle Club for all of their expertise and insights on distracted driving and where this ordinance fits into safer streets for Evanston. So thank you very much to the Active Transportation Alliance and the Evanston Bicycle Club. Thank you.
That concludes my report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. Are we now ready to vote on H3? City Clerk?
H3.
May we call the roll?
Alderman Grover. Aye. Alderman Rainey. Aye. Alderman Burris. Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Alderman Tindem.
Aye.
8-0. The motion passes. Other committees went through. And so we are at call of the wards, starting with Alderman Grover.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have nothing to report, but I do have a big hearty thank you to all of the employees of the City of Evanston who work hard for all of us every day and who are with us living through this budget limbo with all of the uncertainty that brings. So please know that I am grateful to all of you for laboring on, not knowing what the end result will be. So thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Rainey?
Since the task force on the library board is going to be meeting, I would like to make a public request of them, and that is to inquire as to the board's position on supporting the branch library's 6-month extension with interest generated from the $2 million endowment fund that is there. It's my understanding that there's a limitation on the amount of interest that can be used for this kind of thing, and it's at about 5%, I think, and the available funds currently are $133,000 out of that $2 million, and given that and the amount raised thus far brings us well over $150,000. So I would be in a position of supporting branch libraries where the library board to come forth with financing from the endowment. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Burris?
I actually want to thank Alderman Rainey for checking into the endowment issue. Similar to what we did with ECMC and looked into their 990 and their fundraising and what they had in reserves. I think we need to explore very carefully about the fundraising that has been going on with the libraries and the endowment issue and the payout on the endowment. And can that payout be more, and can we spend down part of the endowment? So it's a lot of things that we need to look at, because there is money available if the library board chooses to use it for the branch libraries. Also, I want to thank Ninth Ward residents and others for taking the survey about uses at Oakton and Asbury that I sent out, as well as the survey that I sent about budget cuts. Once again, looking for budget cuts, still getting a lot of emails about don't cut my special interests, not getting many emails about what to cut. Love to see those. Thanks.
Thank you. Alderman Fisk?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to make a reference to P&D to take a look at the fees that are charged to citizens who are appealing a decision of the zoning administrator. Right now, I believe according to the city's website, those are charged at $100 to apply for the appeal, and then transcript costs. As you may know, the citizens who are appealing the Seabury Great Room or the use in the T1, T2 districts have just received a bill for $1,100 for transcripts, and that is going to continue that at ZBA tomorrow night. So that means that the citizens who have applied to appeal that decision face a bill of several thousands of dollars in order to file that appeal. I believe that was probably put into place to discourage developers and other people from, or other organizations from making frivolous appeals and holding up the process. That is certainly not the case when it comes to our citizens who have a question about whether a zoning decision is applicable or not in a certain circumstance. So I'm referring this back to P&D and appreciate their attention to it.
Thank you. Alderman Holmes?
Mayor, would those be available online, or could they be online, the transcripts? Would that, like?
I do not have an answer to that. City Manager, do you know if those would be online?
I don't know that we have abilities to do that presently, so we certainly could get them.
I mean, just in terms of the cost, that if that would help resolve that problem.
Yeah. I think the cost is associated with the creation of the court report, or the creation of the transcript, not the
creation of it.
Not
the copies.
Receiving a copy. It's the actual creation of the transcript.
Okay. Right.
Thank you. Alderman Nguyen?
No report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Alderman Wilson?
I just want to thank everybody in the Fourth Ward who's been taking the time to make constructive and thoughtful comments on the budget process, and beyond that, no further report.
Thank you. Alderman Holmes?
Just to follow Alderman Wilson, I would also like to thank those in the Fifth Ward who've called me, who've emailed me about this process. This is my 5th year, and it's been one of the toughest, but people have been calling and making suggestions, and I really do appreciate it. And I think, as Alderman Grover said, that all of us really do appreciate everyone who's just sort of going through this with us. It's a new day, but it's a new time, and I think that we all have to just sort of pull the belt a little tighter. And we'll get through it. We may not get over it, but we'll get through it. The other thing is that with the firemen and the Philbrick Park neighbors will be meeting here on next Wednesday, the 17th, at 7 p.m. in room 2404. And then next Thursday, the 18th, we'll have our regular Fifth Ward meeting at Fleetwood Jordan. That's it.
Thank you. Alderman Tandem?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Alderman Wilson?
Pursuant to 5 Illinois compiled statutes, 120/2A, I move that the City Council convene into executive session to discuss agenda items regarding litigation and minutes. These agenda items are permitted subjects to be considered in executive session and are enumerated exceptions under the Open Meetings Act. These exceptions are 5 ILCS 120/2, subsection C11 and C21.
Thank you. Could we have a roll call vote?
Alderman Grover. Alderman Rainey. Alderman Burris. Alderman Fisk. Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes. Alderman Tindem. 8-0.
8-0, the motion passes. Now, as long as the horde of people don't show up at 8:30, waiting for the council to start.
Wouldn't that be hilarious?
It'll be all right.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, you go. Oh, you need to get down. Oh. There you go. So you can get out early today.